Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria on the west coast of Canada on Vancouver Island. Hi Ziadullah, hi Rahul, hi Janil. Welcome Eldor, good to see you Kyber. Nice to see everybody in the class. Today, everyone, we are looking at IELTS, speaking part 1, the first part of the speaking interview. And I will tell you what you need to do to begin with a Band 9, which of course is very, very important. It sets the tone for the interview. This lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. On both of our websites, we have lots and lots of content, videos, practice exams, interactive courses to help you improve your speaking and your English and your communication. So check us out there. I'll show you those real quick, just so you know what I'm talking about. This is our academic IELTS website here with the blue background. You can click that big red button to join our premium package. It is a one-time payment for lifetime access, so definitely worth it if you're taking the IELTS exam. For the general IELTS, it's the green background. Again, push that big red button. One-time payment, lifetime access. And we are British Council registration, IELTS registration center, and IELTS agents. So you have speaking opportunities on our website as well. When you log into your My Student, it gets absolutely free. I'm going to emphasize that first. This is a free option here. When you log into your website, you can access this for free. You have student partners speaking. You can find other IELTS students to video chat and audio chat with. Right now, we have Floney and Paris. There they are, waiting for somebody to join in and chat with them. So check that out. All right. Okay, everyone. So if you have any questions, just send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, IELTS_AEhelp. That's for academic, or GIELTS Help. Check out Instagram. Lots of free materials for you as well. All right. No worries, Vikram, about the thumbs down. It actually put a smile on my face. So good to have you in the class. We do have our books, our exam books on Amazon, and we have a full week of classes for you coming up. So today, speaking part 1, tomorrow, task 1 for members, and task 2 writing for everyone. So today, speaking, tomorrow, writing. Make sure you hang out and pick up lots of information. Okay, everybody, so this is a speaking class. Make sure to speak. I know it's easy to get lost in the chat and in just typing and listening, but the goal of the class is to practice your speaking. So I would love to imagine that you all are sitting at home, and when I say a question, you repeat the question. When I give a response, you repeat the response. In fact, when I'm reading your comments and your responses, then you're answering that as well. All right. Okay, everyone, so let's get right into it. With the exam, show up early, okay, 1 hour early before the test. Find someone to practice with at the exam center, another candidate. Take some questions with you. And then after you register, make sure you're using English all day before your exam. And then finally, the examiner will call you into the exam, and you will begin. They're very professional. And of course, they're human. There are small differences between examiners, but they're all well-trained. They know what they're doing. So just stick to strategy and answer the questions completely and fluently. The most important, you get marked on a lot of different points. You get marked on fluency and coherence, pronunciation, grammatical range and accuracy, lexical resource. Does anybody know what the most important criteria is out of all of those? So I'm sure some of you have done some research on what they look at when they're marking your speaking. And it goes as fluency and coherence, grammatical range accuracy, lexical resource, pronunciation. Which of those is the most important? So which one should you pay the most attention to when you're practicing from those marking criteria? Does anybody know? Yes, Sadesh, Somne. Very good. Coherence, right? Coherence means that you're making sense, that you're giving a clear and comprehensible, understandable answer. So coherence, okay? Fluency and pronunciation do not matter if you're not making any sense. If I'm really nice and fluent with you and I'm like, well, on the day of the Sunday, I went out to the lunch and with my dog, we jumped over a fence after fishing in the river for blue gems. I'm being really fluent, great pronunciation. I'd probably get a band score of 2, okay, or a band score of 1, because it makes no sense. All right. So you have to be coherent. You have to be understandable. Okay. All right. So coherence is king. All right, when it comes to practicing IELTS. And that means if you have to speak a little bit slower to be more coherent, then speak a little bit slower. Okay, if you have to use a little bit simpler vocabulary or grammar to be coherent, then do that because you will still get a better mark. All right. Okay, so you walk into your exam, you're met by your examiner. Your examiner, first of all, will say, may I see your passport, please? Or they'll just say, may I see your identification, please? Because in some countries, they only accept the passport. In some countries, they accept your national ID as well, or other official picture ID. May I see your identification, please? You cannot sit the exam if you don't have your ID with you. So don't lose it between your registration time and your interview, okay? So be coherent. Give me a nice coherent sentence for this. Manpreet says, sure. Well, it's semi-coherent because it's kind of like, I got what you said, but I haven't really reflected on what you said. Vikram says, yes, precisely. This is my passport, which I used for my registration. Vikram, precisely is a bit odd. Yes, certainly. Yes, sure. Yes, of course. Yes, just give me a moment. Those are all okay, but yes, precisely, bit unnatural, so careful with that. Ravi says, certainly, here is my passport, which I used to register for this exam. Please have a look. Rashika says, yes, here's my passport that I used to register for the exam. Please have a look. Akshay says, sure, here's my passport that I had used for registration for my IELTS exam. Nice use of the past perfect, Akshay, I had used. Yeah, before you sat the test, right? Kuldeep says, yes, sure, this is my passport here. Please have a look. That works, Kuldeep. It's natural. Watch your tone, your intonation. Janil says, yes, of course, here it is. Please take a look. Very good. Eldor says, yes, here's my ID that I used for registration. Please take a look. All right, good. So those are all great answers. Yes. My pleasure. Here is my passport. Please take a look. All right. So again, repeat after me. This is speaking. May I see your identification, please? Yes, my pleasure. Here's my passport. Please take a look. Okay. Next question. At this point, the examiner will say, okay, this is candidate number 73125. We are currently in Calcutta, and the time right now is 11 o'clock. And I'm going to record this speaking interview for clerical and marking purposes. And then they will begin. It has 3 parts. I will give you instructions for each. What is your full name? So give me a nice full sentence answer again for this one. Make sure you're clear and fluent here. Okay. Purva, you can find speaking partners on our websites for absolutely free, and you can actually practice on the website, as I showed in the beginning. Manpreet Singh says, my full name is Manpreet Singh. Please call me the same. A little bit awkward, Manpreet. Please call me the same. So you want me to call you Manpreet Singh for the whole interview by both first and last name? Some people might do it, but I think it's a bit unusual to be called by your full name, first and last. All right, Jainil says, my full name is Jainil Gabani. Please call me Jay for short because I'm used to it. I'm used to it. Jainil, I am. Okay, I want to say a little bit more, Manpreet, to help you on how to use that expression, please call me the same. So, Manpreet, it would work something like this. My full name is Dave Andrews. People usually just call me Dave. Please call me the same. I think that's, yeah. Okay. That makes a little bit more sense, Manpreet, if you use it like this. So my full name is Dave Andrews. People usually just call me Dave. Please call me the same. So you're telling the examiner to call you the same as most other people. Okay, then it makes sense, because if you say my full name is Dave Andrews, please call me the same, a person naturally would actually say, okay, Dave Andrews, and then, yeah, it's a bit odd. Okay, so most people tend not to use their first and last name together. There's the rare exception. All right. Okay. So next question. Do you work or study? Give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. Do you work or study? Very common for an icebreaker. Okay. Vikram. Well, at present, I'm a student. I recently did did some classes in math matrix, and at present I'm doing my senior secondary at CT Public School. Okay, watch your writing, Vikram. I think you meant math matrix. Okay. Mushkan Rana says, I'm studying currently in 11th standard. All right, good. At what school? What's your favorite subject? Give me a little bit more information, Mushkan Rana, just so you have more fluency, more coherence again, okay? Kushan says, currently I'm studying. I'm planning to start work this month. Okay, Kushan, same advice. What are you planning to do for work if you're starting this month? It'd be interesting to know, okay? Ravi says, I've recently completed my studies in chemistry, and now I'm pursuing my master's in inorganic chemistry and also preparing for this IELTS exam for my further studies in Canada. Okay. Ravi Darji, careful with completed my graduation. No, you graduate from university in chemistry, or you get a graduate diploma in chemistry. You don't complete your graduation. That's awkward. Okay, so careful with how you use that, all right? Renato Barbosa dos Santos says, I do both. I work as a dance instructor and in graduate school, and I'm in graduate school for Masters of Science in Physiotherapy. It's not physical therapy, Renato. It's physiotherapy. We use a unique adjective in that case, physiotherapy. Okay? So good, though. It's a good answer. Just make sure you give accurate words, okay? So one more time, Renato. I do both. I work as a dance instructor, and I'm in graduate school for MSc in physiotherapy. Okay? All right. Let's take one more. Rahul, Kamudia says, well, I am a company secretary having about 5 years of experience. I'm working with a reputed manufacturing organization. Okay. Yeah, all right, that works. Sure, Rahul, that's good. Okay, I'll give an answer. I do both. I'm working as a part-time cashier at a store to make ends meet. And I'm also pursuing my master's micro as I hope to do medical research in the future. All right. So I just came up with this answer. As many of you know, my major was psychology. I specialized in IELTS and language acquisition. So do you work or study? I do both. I'm working as a part-time cashier at a grocery store to make ends meet. And I'm also pursuing my master's in microbiology as I hope to do medical research in the future. Okay, good. So here I'm also dropping a little gem, which means giving you a little idiom here. And many of you probably caught that idiom. The idiom is make ends meet. Anybody know what that means? Make ends meet. And I've decided that I'm going to give you some of these simple, quick little idioms that are easier to use, and you can pick up some points for your lexical resource. So you don't want to use really complicated idioms, but nice, short, little, quick idioms that just bump up your score. Anybody know what that means? Make ends meet. Well, it's a very commonly used idiom. Okay. Akshay says to pay bills. Close, Akshay. Yeah. Yeah. It's a little bit more general than to just pay bills, but that's part of it, I believe. Yeah. So anybody else have an idea of make ends meet? So this end, that end. Janelle says to manage expenses. That's a little bit closer. Yeah. It basically means to afford the necessary costs. Now, it doesn't have to be living. You can use it in a business context as well. So we have to sell at least 20,000 units in the next month to make ends meet. Okay, it means to afford the cost of operations in the business, but it means simply to afford the necessary costs. Okay, all right, cool. So at this point, the examiner will introduce the part 1 topic, and they'll say, okay, let's talk about the weather. And then immediately when you hear, let's talk about the weather, what should you think of? And so here's some good training coming up. Thank you, Milton, by the way, for reflecting that. Milton, ahelp.com, glshelp.com for all of our training videos. So let's talk about the weather. When you hear the examiner introduce the topic of part 1 like that, immediately thoughts should flash in your mind that will help you to increase your score. And of course, one of those are associated words, okay? So associated means connected words, okay? And of course, many of you will think of words like windy, hot, sunny, rainy, cold, okay? But you shouldn't just be thinking about these different states of weather. You should also think of what? So some students who have been with me in classes in the past, at this point you should immediately realize a key point that you need to include in your responses. What is that? Okay. So what should you immediately recognize as soon as you hear, let's talk about the weather? There's a key strategy that should kind of pop into your mind, and you should be thinking, aha, okay, this will be a great place to use this type of strategy to improve my coherence, hint, hint, my clarity, and get higher points. So what can you do to improve your coherence when you're talking about the weather to a person? Okay, what can you do? All right. Let's see. Yeah, very good, Sean. Nicely done. Sean, you get a giant thumbs up from me today. Nicely done, Sean. I'm impressed. Okay. So you should include quantitative language. Okay. Quantitative language. And when we're talking about quantitative language and the weather, what kind of words should pop into your mind? Okay, what kind of words should come to your mind when you're thinking quantitative language and the weather? Yeah, so Bhushan says quantitative language makes you sound smart. Yeah, absolutely. And it also makes you sound more fluent and more coherent as well. Okay. Yeah, very good, Sean. Celsius. So the specific degrees, right? So, for example, or when you're talking about the wind, then you can say a certain kilometer wind. Okay. Absolutely. Okay, so think about that and now answer this question. So here's the question. Do you like hot or cold weather? Give me a nice full sentence response to this question. Do you like hot or cold weather? Yeah, Genial, Fahrenheit, absolutely. British love Fahrenheit. Americans use Fahrenheit as well, right? Rashika, yeah, precipitation. Precipitation is measured in millimeters usually. How many millimeters of precipitation? Okay. All right. Very good. So Gus says, I'm fond of cold weather. I find myself convenient, comfortable. When the weather is 16 to 17 degrees, warm and a bit wet. This helps me to relax in the day. In fact, I usually go hiking in the mountains in hopes of getting drenched. Yeah, soaked in rain. Very good. Okay, nice use of the word drenched. Those kind of words help you to increase your vocabulary score. Very good. Eldor says, actually, I prefer cloudy days because then it's neither too cold nor too hot. And what's more important to me is that the weather is perfect for photography as the light is so diffused. Eldor, it's diffused light, okay? Because clouds act as a diffuser so you don't get so many shadows and sharp rays of light. So it's soft is okay. It's diffused. Diffused is the more accurate word. Okay. Jassy says, although I enjoy both winter and summer weather, when it comes to my favorite, I would choose hot summer days as in this season I can put on my favorite clothes, shorts and a t-shirt, as well as go to Goa Beach with my friends. Okay, Jassy, nice. I like your explanation. Kevin says, I enjoy neither of them. The former makes me hot and sweaty, not to mention easily upset, as where the latter allows for swimming, my favorite pastime activity, impossible. I would, in fact, prefer a mild, breezy day to go out and have some fun in the mild sun, I suppose, is what you're saying there. Okay, good. Classic says, I prefer cold weather um, compared to hot weather due to the fact that cold weather provides me with good vibes. And in spite of this, there are a plethora of stylish clothes that I can wear on cooler days. Okay, classic. I made a few different corrections. The most important one that I made is you went from I to we and us. Don't do that, students. That will hurt your coherence score, okay? So that's a big no-no. I'm going to give you a note on that as well, okay? Just so it's clear. Okay, so do not switch from I something to we, us, you. Okay, so I've seen students do that. Sometimes we do that by accident during our speech where we start with an I, like, I love hot weather because it lets us go out and enjoy the sun. We can go swimming. Hey, what are you I don't know how to swim. No, I do know how to swim, but you don't know that, right? So it's very awkward. Plus you're switching from I to a general public, and it's strange, okay? It makes it confusing. So don't do that, all right? Make sure that for part one, you keep your answers I, me, my, because part one is always about you. Okay, so I, me, my, myself, those are the key words that you want to keep in mind. Rana Vijinder says, to be honest, I love both summer and winter, but my most favorite season is winter because I enjoy snowfall and my friends and warm foods, like a nice cup of hot rooibos tea. Okay, give some examples. So I prefer warmer weather around 30 degrees Celsius because I love to hang out at the beach with my friends and family and do water sports like surfing. In fact, I can't wait for next summer. I'm going to spend tons of time just chilling at my local beach. Okay. All right, so answer, explain, example, here we go. Do you like hot or cold weather? I prefer warmer weather, around 30 degrees Celsius, because I love to hang out at the beach with my friends and family and do water sports like surfing. In fact, I can't wait for next summer. I'm going to spend tons of time just chilling at my local beach. Okay, part one's a bit more casual. Show nice fluency, use respectful language, of course. Again, that quantitative language. So when you tell a person you like warmer weather, state the degrees, and then they'll have lots more clarity, and you're going to get more points for being really coherent. Okay, keep that in mind. All right, let's keep going. Next question. What is the weather usually like in your city? Again, hint, hint, quantitative language, okay? That's going to make your answer much clearer. All right. Meanwhile, while you're thinking about that, Janelle says, well, I love cold weather around 15 degrees Celsius because it lets me do outdoor activities. So I'm not only physically fit, but I'm also more social to help me be mentally recharged as well. All right, Janelle, it's a little bit awkward. Careful. You're going to have to make some corrections there. All right. Kuldeep let's change the beginning of your answer. From my experience in my hometown, the typical hot summer temperatures are often 40 or above, and the winter lows are around 2 degrees Celsius. Okay, so Kuldeep, remember to check this correction. It seems to me that is a bit awkward in this situation. Okay, so Otavio is asking me a question. Otavio is asking, can we use some informal expressions like top notch or hit rock bottom when we are answering? Yeah, Otavio, absolutely. Okay, so speaking is the same for the general and for the academic versions of the exam. You can definitely use informal language. However, avoid low-level words like using stuff or things, okay? So using informal language is okay. Remember, even within informal language, there are unique and accurate expressions, and there are general weak expressions like the word stuff, okay? So don't use the word stuff, but using expressions like top notch or hitting rock bottom, which is an idiom, yeah, that's absolutely fine, okay? All right. Let's see some more responses. Okay, Jan in Flores says, since I love cold weather, the weather I prefer in my city is rainy weather. Since it does not snow here in the Philippines, the closest to cold weather it gets is around 25, and that's only during storms. Okay. All right, Jana, not bad. It doesn't really answer the question though. So stick to answering the question of what's the weather usually like. You have to pay attention to the word usually, okay? So what's the weather usually like in your city, all right? When you hear the word usually, you have to think of adverbs of frequency like always, often, and usually, okay? Or as Rahul is starting, generally. So Rahul Kamodia says, generally the weather in my hometown is warmer, around 30 to 45 degrees Celsius in the summer and around 20 to 25 degrees in the winter season. All right, now that's the temperature. Don't forget about those other qualifiers like windy, dry, humid, okay? Those are all really important. Let me show you a little bit what I mean, all right? So think outside the box. Don't get stuck on just temperature, okay? So in my city of Victoria, British Columbia, the climate is temperate. The temperature hovers from 16 to 26 degrees between summer and winter months. Since Victoria is on the southern tip of Vancouver Island in the Pacific, it is frequently windy and rainy. It rains about 170 days in the year. Okay, so temperature is one aspect, wind, precipitation, those are some other aspects of weather. Again, lots of quantitative language. So everybody speak and repeat. Okay, so copy my intonation, my fluency, my pronunciation as best as you can. Again, these lessons are recorded so you can go back and practice again, all right? If you don't catch it the first time. Here we go. So what is the weather usually like in your city? In my city of Victoria, British Columbia, the climate is temperate. The temperature hovers from 16 to 26 degrees between summer and winter months. Since Victoria is on the southern tip of Vancouver Island in the Pacific Ocean, it is frequently windy and rainy. It rains about 170 days in the year. Okay. Temperate climate means that it's not extreme. It's not very hot. It's not very cold. It's somewhere in the middle. Okay. So that is a temperate climate. That's why here in British Columbia we have what's called temperate rainforests. All right. Temperate rainforests. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next question. Why do people like talking about the weather? Give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. So, why do people like talking about the weather? Yeah, AK, temperate is a moderate climate. Yeah, that's right. That would be a synonym for it. Temperate's more accurate. It's a moderate climate, AK. All right. So, Classic says, as weather is the most indispensable aspect of our planet, and since a long time, natural phenomenon have captivated people, I reckon as a result, individuals frequently gossip about the weather. Okay, very good, Classic. It's a nice answer. You reversed the explanation and the answer. You have to be careful with that. Sometimes that can get confusing, so only do that if you're absolutely sure that you're making sense, okay? Usually it's better to go answer, then explanation, then example. But at times, that is a different strategy to give an explanation and then an answer. You have to be careful, though, and make sure that you're on topic. Otherwise, the examiner will interrupt you. They think that you don't understand the question, okay? That's one point, Classic. The other point, Classic, is don't say natural things captivates. Natural phenomena. Okay, natural phenomenon. Always find the better word, the better noun than the word things. Practice that at home. All right? Janelle says the weather in Surat is usually changing throughout the year, where in the first 4 months it's cold between 10 and 18, and then from 25 to 46 in the 4 summer months. From September to December, it's quite rainy. Okay, Janelle, good. I made some corrections. Pay attention to those. 26, Mushkan Rana says, I don't have any idea exactly, but maybe because people don't have anything else to talk about, or maybe to introduce the person with problems they're facing in their hometown because of weather. Okay, Mushkan, that's a good answer. Okay, or to exchange interests. Yeah, Mushkan, so it's a good answer. Say it confidently. Okay. Sadesh says, well, if you ask me, talking about the weather can function as a small talk, which can later build into more complex conversation. Topics like personal questions, for example, regarding family. Very clever, Sadesh. Yeah, it sounds like you might have studied a little bit of psychology. People like to start conversations with what's called cliches in French. And cliches are these types of, so how's about the weather? Or did you see the cricket game last night on TV? Okay, so that's the cliche conversation starters. And good use of the expression small talk. Small talk. Yeah, absolutely, Sadesh. Nice. Okay, nice use of vocabulary. Okay. Rodolfo Alquizola says, because it is basic information that we have to know in order to make us prepared if ever bad weather is coming, like a heavy downpour. Yeah, so that's another reason, Rodolfo. Absolutely. Now, Rodolfo, make sure to use the questions. So individuals like chit-chat about the weather because it's basic information that many of us have to know in order to help us prepare, especially if there's bad weather coming, like a storm. Okay, very good, Rodolfo. And then you can even throw in an example. Like last week, my friend warned me about a heavy downpour in my city. Okay, so more robust, accurate, fluent answers, Rodolfo, and you'll get a better band score. All right. Avi says, weather is an interesting topic to discuss when people don't have anything else to talk about, especially when they're having conversation with a new person and they don't really have any special common knowledge to talk about. Ravi, good. I made some corrections there as well. All right. Ottavio, same advice as to Rodolfo. Don't just start with because. That's okay to do if you're chatting with me on the street. Absolutely. It's normal, natural. But in the IELTS, you want to be more complete. So you want to use the question in your response. All right. So here, what I just read a moment ago. So people like to make small talk about the weather because it is an easy conversation starter, especially when individuals are strangers. In addition, discussing the weather can help people to be better prepared for the day. In fact, just this morning, I let my mom know that it will be very windy, so she should take a scarf with her. All right. So here we go. Repeat after me. Why do people like talking about the weather? People like to make small talk about the weather because it is an easy conversation starter, especially when individuals are strangers. In addition, discussing the weather can help people to be better prepared for the day. In fact, just this morning, I let my mom know that it will be very windy, so she should take a scarf with her. Okay? All right. Rolling along nicely. Yeah, notice that verb there, we make small talk. It's kind of a unique way to express that. All right? Okay, next question. If it is raining and you have to go somewhere, what do you do? Okay, be prepared for these kinds of questions in the IELTS exam. So if it is raining and you have to go somewhere, what do you do? Makrab says, if the weather is rainy and I'm going to the park, because in my city there's a beautiful park and I have many memories there when I was a child, especially in the rain. Okay, Makrab, explain why you go to that park, okay, when it's raining, because otherwise it doesn't make much sense to me why anyone would go to a park when it's raining. Maybe a cultural difference, but I need to know, okay? Kevin says, if I have to leave shelter during rainy weather, I brace myself against the storm by grabbing an umbrella or a poncho to prevent getting soaked from head to toe. Nice use of expression, Kevin, getting soaked from head to toe. Kevin says, by the same token, I'll hail a taxi rather than ride my motorbike, just like today coming to this test center. Very good, Kevin. Yeah, hailing a taxi. Hey, taxi. Right? Whistling. All right, nicely done. Yeah, so soaked from head to toe, right? Drenched means drenched. We had that word earlier. Rahmani says, weather is vital and necessary for human nature, and it keeps the mind fresh as well as energized, so that joy from the moment and subsequently individuals having fun. Rahmani, I'm not sure if you're answering the previous question, but you sound a little bit off topic. Again, remember the most important criteria is coherence. So focus on coherence. Rahul says, if it's raining heavily, then I will take my car instead of a two-wheeler. And if it's not raining that heavy, then I might just take a raincoat or an umbrella to save myself from being soaked. Okay. Yeah, heavy rain is called a downpour. Okay. A light rain is called a drizzle. Drizzle. Okay. All right. Kuldeep says, that's a tough question. If it's raining outside and I need to go to do a certain task, I will take a hard step outside of my house with cover over my head, and definitely I will take the bus that day. All right. Unmeloving says, if it is raining outside, I use my car. If it's not possible, then I will cover my head and body with my raincoat so that I don't get wet, and I can meet people without rushing. Okay, Unmeloving, careful with your coherence as well. All right, careful with that. Akshay says, usually depends on the urgency of the work for me. The other day I had to pick up my sister from the bus station, so I put on my raincoat and brought another one for my sister before heading out. Okay, Akshay, notice the corrections there. All right, good, good. Okay, so well, on rainy days, if I need to rush out, I will put on my raincoat and drive if I have to go somewhere far. Otherwise, if I'm just out for a walk, I will put on my gumboots and my cap so that my head and feet stay dry. Okay. Now, that expression by Kevin was soaked from head to toe. This is if somebody goes out in very heavy rain and they're completely wet. Okay, so I'm combining a few of the expressions that we had in the chat so you can learn them all. Soaked from head to toe, it means getting drenched from a heavy downpour. Okay, so heavy rain, downpour. All right, here we go. Next question. And the last question, so make it a good one, students. Has the climate changed in your country since you were a child? Has the climate changed in your country since you were a child? Notice the present perfect. So make sure to use the present perfect in your answer and give me a nice, complete answer with present perfect. Muskan says, yes, the climate has changed in my hometown. I think because of global warming. Winters have gotten shorter and summers have gotten longer than usual, and there are often unseasonal rains, which is at least a few dozen times in the year. Okay, 26 Mushkan, did you notice all of the changes that I made? So I added the present perfect. Instead of saying everywhere, I made it more specific because the question's dealing with your country. Okay, so use your country name. I said city, but it should have been country. Okay, so be specific, be accurate. It's very important. Akshay says, oh yes, the climate has changed dramatically since my childhood. A couple of decades ago, We had clear seasons where rain used to fall only during the rainy season, but now we see heavy downpours even during the summer months. All right, nickname says, yes, I remember that it has changed since my childhood in the various seasons. All right, give me more details. Okay, I will put up my answer as well. So definitely the weather has become quite different in Victoria and in Canada since my childhood back in the 90s. Nowadays, most places in Canada are a couple of degrees warmer throughout the year, and some places get hotter summers while others have others the weather has become quite unpredictable with cold nights during summer and warmer days in the winter. All right. So here's my answer. Again, present perfect. Has the climate changed in your country since you were a child? Definitely. The weather has become quite different in Victoria and in Canada. Got to go to that country because it's country now. Canada is so big, it's hard to know how the weather has changed, but just give the answer, okay? So one more time, definitely the weather has become quite different in Victoria and in Canada since my childhood back in the 90s, quantitative. Nowadays, most places in Canada are a couple of degrees warmer throughout the year, and some places get hotter summers while others experience never before seen snowfall. The weather has become quite unpredictable with cold nights during the summer and warmer days in the winter, likely because of global warming, perhaps because of greenhouse gases. All right. Shishir Klan says, the climate of my country has changed drastically, leading to negative effects. Rise in the surface temperatures makes winter seasons a bit warm, which should have been cold and very hot during the summer. Nice answer. Okay. Rashika says the climate has significantly changed, unqualified in my country compared to my childhood. When I was a child, there was lots of greenery, waterfalls, and more precipitation. Nowadays, there are droughts, and many areas have become arid and desert-like. Okay, Rashika, I gave you a few words to finish that idea. Otherwise, a good job. Let's take one more. Sharthak says, as global temperatures are warming, it's directly proportional to climate change. I have noticed dramatical changes in my country since my childhood. Good start, Sharthak. Finish that up, okay? What are those changes? Okay, students, fantastic work today. This is kind of one of those hot topics, talking about the weather. You could get an IELTS exam dealing with that in part one, certainly. So make sure to practice. And you can do lots of practice on our websites for free, or spend a few dollars and get our premium package, one-time payment, lifetime access. aehelp.com for academic IELTS and GIELTShelp.com for general IELTS. Of course, the websites are supported by native apps. Academic IELTS Help for aehelp.com and General IELTS Help for GIELTShelp.com. So do check us out there. If you have any questions, just let me know. That's it for today, but I will be back tomorrow at the same time with Task 2 writing for the All Chat class. And a little bit earlier, members, I will be here with a new task 1 for you. Eugene, you are very, very welcome. Thank you for the emojis, making us happy. Let me just click on that so everybody can see those. Take care of yourselves. Stay healthy. Respect each other. Love each other. And hopefully I will see all of you tomorrow. I'm Adrian, signing out from Victoria for now. Much love to all of you. Bye.